America's healthcare advocate, Carrie Hall.
Hello, America. Welcome to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA here on the HIA Radio Network. Our producer today, Mr. Darren Wilhite. I'm your host, Carrie Hall. Thank you for joining us and making us one of the most listened to talk shows across the United States. 201 affiliates as of today. By the way, I want to give a little shout out to KBYR in Anchorage, Alaska, AM 700, FM 88.5. Very happy to be on up there. I want to thank them. They've been with us for a while. So all of you up there in Alaska, we're glad you're listening. Also, as you know, because I talk about this every week, if you hear one of these shows, you want to tell somebody about it. And this one today is probably one you're going to want to talk to some folks about, especially if you're a business owner. We are on 14 podcast platforms, and they are Amazon, Apple, Odyssey, Google, Overcast, Pocket Cast, Pandora, Rumble, RSS Podcasts, Spreaker, Stitcher, and Spotify. In addition to that, we're on YouTube. Now, here's what's interesting. We're getting about 6,000 downloads a month on the podcast side. That's 6,000 of you pulling that show down and listening to it. And we've had 257,000 views on YouTube year to date. So there are a lot of you out there paying attention to what we're doing here. And we really appreciate that. We also appreciate all of you listening to us on AM, FM radio. All right. So and if you want to know more about us, the website is americashealthcareadvocate.com. If you've got questions or comments, send me an email. I am happy to respond. It takes me a day or two usually because I get a few, but I'm happy to get back to you. Also, if you're chronologically challenged and you are looking for Medicare, we are rolling into the open enrollment season. You might want to give the good folks at RPS Benefits by Design a call at 877-385-2224. Anywhere in the country, 877-385-2224. Speak to the lovely Joyce Thompson or Carol Lee Steele. They are both certified experts and happy to help you. If you're looking for employer-sponsored health care, Maria Allers is the one that can help you, and she will be happy to do that. Once again, the phone number, 877-385-2224. So today's going to be a unique show. I met these folks some time ago and really enjoyed what they had to talk about and their company, their program, and what they do. The folks are here from Goodwill Industries today. In studio with me, Karen Altenhofen and Anita Davis. Welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Great
Glad
to be
have
here.
you both here today. You know, this is going to be a unique show because we're going to talk about what they do. They're a lot more than a thrift store. You're about to find that out, okay? And if you are a business owner, we're going to talk about how they can help you, okay? I think you're going to be pretty surprised at what they have to offer. And by the way, if you're somebody out there stuck in a job that you're not happy with and you're going nowhere, they have some great programs that you can get involved in that might help you make that move up. So listen up today because you're going to learn some things. A little bit about Anita Davis. She served a number of communities designing and administrating a variety of programs focused on affordable housing, neighborhood improvement, small business development, and employment services. She serves now as the Chief Mission Officer for Goodwill of Western Missouri and Eastern Kansas. Previously, she was a Workforce Development Director for Mid-America Regional Council. Prior to that, she was the Assistant Workforce Development Director for the City of Denver. Miss Davis holds a bachelor's degree in liberal arts and a master's degree in public administration. So I think she knows her way around the block when it comes to this topic. Karen Altenhofen she serves as the Workforce Director for Goodwill of Western Missouri and Eastern Kansas. In this role, she supports a team that delivers resources and services to individuals who face barriers finding employment and companies looking for employees that are qualified to go to work for them. Her lifelong mission is to build a culture that serves the greater good and values relationships, integrity, compassion, and makes a positive impact in this world. Ms. Altenhofen holds a bachelor's degree of liberal arts from the University of Kansas and a master's degree of business and human resources. So welcome to both of you.
Thank you.
So when you and I had coffee, Karen, and you told me about this, I was like, God, I've been bringing stuff to Goodwill for as long as I can remember. I had no idea that you had this program, and it's really quite remarkable where you connect with businesses and you connect with people. So let's just kind of start with that. Anita, why don't you start with a little bit of that you're a lot more than a thrift store, because that's what everybody thinks. They see the stores out there, and you're taking the TV there, you're taking the clothes there, you're taking whatever there, and that's a big part of this.
That's right.
But let's talk about this, because this is totally different. It really surprised me.
That's right. Well, thank you so much for allowing us the opportunity to share our mission. So you're right. Everybody sees and knows the thrift stores. We have a great brand, and we really are privileged that people bring their gently used items, their new items to our stores. We are able to use that revenue to employ people and to train people that are able to go out into the workforce in our region. And so our mission explicitly is to empower people to find their potential and adapt for the future through the power of work. And so that's what we get to do every day with the mission team. There's a lot of great people in our community that are underserved and under-resourced, and we find them and we grow that talent and help find employment opportunities for those people.
So, Karen, when we met, you talked about, I mentioned this in the opening monologue there, if somebody's in a job where they're not happy, okay, and they would like, maybe they're a housekeeper in a hotel, but they would like to do more than being a housekeeper. Maybe they'd like to get into manufacturing or IT. You all make it available for them to get that kind of training. Talk about that, and what does that cost them to do that, and how does that work?
It's absolutely free. It doesn't cost them a thing.
I want to make sure everybody hears that.
Absolutely free to everyone. It doesn't cost them a thing. All they have to do is walk in our doors, or we have a form online that they can fill out. There's a QR code on all of our flyers and the website that will direct them right to where they can apply. And we will have one of our enrollment coordinators work with them, reach out, see what they're interested in, and get them an appointment to come in and meet with one of our workforce development specialists and get them started.
So, Anita, you talk about the geographic area, because you cover a pretty significant, it's not just Kansas City.
Right.
So when we run this broadcast, we're going to run this nationally, because I'm sure there are other Goodwill opportunities around the country. But for all the folks in Kansas and Missouri, just talk about how big the operation is here.
Yes.
It is out of Kansas City, correct?
Absolutely. Our headquarters is right in the crossroads, right in the West Crossroads area. So we're at 800 East 18th Street, but we have 41 counties that we serve in Missouri, and we have 41 counties that we serve in Kansas. So 82 counties across this region. So our furthest store in the Kansas side is in Manhattan. And then on the Missouri side, we're all the way to St. Joe and all in between. We're growing every day. We're opening 3 new stores today. And
no,
I'm sorry.
No, that's good.
Not today. This quarter.
Yeah.
This quarter, we'll open 3 new stores, one in Waldo, one in Belton, and one in Olathe. And so from the mission perspective, as far as employers, we have a huge pool of talent that we serve. This year, our goal is to serve 2,000, a little over 2,000, I think, is what we'll hit under Karen's leadership. And so those are all individuals that have come into our Mission Support Center in the West Crossroads looking for help with employment.
So, and there are so many people now that are struggling, the cost of living and everything else. If you are looking, Karen, for a leg up, okay, when I was on the board of directors for Don Bosco, we had a saying that was, we're going to give you a hand up, not a hand out. Okay, and this sounds a lot like that to me. That's exactly what you're doing here. You're giving people a hand up. You're giving them a path forward. And we're going to talk about later in the show the diversity of what you do. I mean, it's amazing the number of programs you've got. So talk a little bit about that and the fact that, how long does it take typically for somebody to go through one of these programs, and then how do they go find a job after they do that?
So we will support them all along the way with wraparound supports. It varies. One of our programs that we have, the Certified Manufacturing, is a 3-week program. So they have the 3 weeks that they're in class and working with an instructor. And when the class is over, they have manufacturing employers that will come in and interview and maybe hire some of them right on the spot. So that pipeline works very well. And we would like to, be able to scale that and replicate some of those programs that we know have worked really well. There are a lot of manufacturing employers that need good employees. And so this has been great. That really kind of
puts it in perspective. We're not talking about a year-long program here or 2 semesters of junior college. We're talking about something in 3 weeks to prepare you to go get a job that's a better job. When I come back to the break, we're going to talk more about this. We're going to start exploring some of the very specific programs that are out there. So there are 2 groups of people today that I'm talking to. Those of you out there that maybe you've got a young person at home that's looking for work and can't figure out what to do, there's some great programs here that are available. They are free, okay? And if you're an employer, and I know a lot of you are struggling with finding qualified people, they're doing the work for you. This is a lot better than going up on Indeed and posting asking for a resume, so you might want to take a look at it. We'll be right back from the break. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate, broadcasting here on the HIA Radio Network, coast to coast across the USA. The website, mocangoodwill.org. We'll be back.
The Golden Rule. Treat others as you want to be treated. I'm Steve Keeker, and this is one of the founding principles of my firm, Senior Care Consulting. Since 2002, our value statement has included honor our mother and father, respect our elders, care for those in need, and treat your family as our own. We've been honored to help hundreds of families make one of the most difficult decisions they could ever make, serving them in their greatest time of need. If you're looking for someone who can provide you experienced and objective guidance when searching for a senior care community, reach out today and discover the services of Senior Care Consulting at 913-945-2800, 913-945-2800. Know your options and choose with care at seniorcareconsulting.com.
Welcome back. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA. My producer, the always perfect Mr. Darren Wilhite. I'm your host, Carrie Hall. My other producer, Mr. Dave Thiessen, the man behind the camera that puts all this stuff together and puts it up on those 14 podcast platforms and YouTube. So that's how all this comes together here in the magic at the Odyssey Studios. If you want to learn more about what Goodwill does, if you are one of those folks out there that would like to find a better path forward, maybe a better job than what you're doing, or maybe you just don't like what you're doing, they've got a myriad of programs. We're going to start getting into that in this particular segment of the show. The website is mocangoodwill.org, mocangoodwill.org. The phone number, if you want to call them, 816-842-7425, 816-842-7425. Joining me in studio again, Karen Altenhofen and Anita Davis, both from Goodwill, to talk about their program. Let's kind of dive back into this. And so I remember when we had coffee that you started talking about the manufacturing piece, and I went, holy cow. Okay, so Anita, there's a huge demand in the market right now in the manufacturing sector. I mean, I work, I've done a lot of work with the AFL-CIO and a lot of the other unions that deal in manufacturing, and they're constantly looking for people to put in those programs, and they can't find them. Right. So let's talk about that's a 3-week program. Karen just described that. Talk about that program and how it works, and what are you training them for?
Absolutely. Well, we started that program because of just what you're talking about. We recognized that it was a growing in-demand area, especially as we came out of the pandemic. Manufacturing was still strong, but they weren't getting people into those positions. As well, there was this increase in the use of technology in manufacturing, and the look and the feel of the industry was just changing. And people still thought of manufacturing as like pushing widgets down this conveyor belt.
Turning a bolt on a car.
Turning a bolt, this old place where nobody wanted to go. And so we wanted to create something more exciting to help to energize getting people back into manufacturing. And so we started to design this program. It's called the Certified Manufacturing Associate Certification. It's based on...
That's what it looks like.
Yeah, it's based on Tooling U and the Society of Manufacturing Engineers. So we didn't create it. It was created already by industry. It's created by an association that manufacturers are familiar with and recognize and trust. So we wanted to make sure that they knew that this was an accredited program. We then partnered with Missouri Enterprise, which is the Manufacturing Trade Association in Missouri. Again, that name recognition, they already had the trust of local manufacturers that go to them for other support and assistance. And so they come in and they provide the subject matter expertise for the training in-house. And so we're training them just to be basic, very skilled, professional, entry-level laborers on a manufacturing floor, so that manufacturers know that they can then upskill and train them from there.
Karen, the level of sophistication, when I'm listening to this, Anita's describing this, the Society of Engineers for Manufacturing, I mean, holy cow, you went to the top people to lay this out. and put a program together that's got some remarkable credibility right out of the gate. Correct?
Yes, absolutely.
Okay, so so people come into this thing, they're in it for like 3 weeks, and then the manufacturers, I assume they come to you and say, hey, we've got job openings here. Talk about some of the people you're currently partnering with, either one of you, whoever wants to jump in there.
So some of the manufacturing companies that we partner with, Challenge Manufacturing is one of them, Holland 1916, Tnemic, Smithfield Foods. We have, various different companies that come in on interview day, whoever is available at the time to do on the spot interviews. But even the ones that aren't available will often send us the links for the jobs to have folks apply for them. So we have a lot of different manufacturing employers that are interested in this entry-level certification and getting people in the door entry level and then help grow from there.
So this is kind of when you're saying Smithfield Foods, then you're talking about hardcore manufacturing. Some of the other ones, that's a wide range of opportunities that are available to people, and a wide range of clients that you're talking to.
Yeah. Absolutely. And I think that's the beauty of this, is that this is a very standard entry-level certification that crosses all of the industries.
So it crosses all the industries. They're coming in. The other thing about this, if I'm the employer listening to this, is I remember talking with clients of mine years ago, and what's one of your biggest problems? Turnover.
Yes.
Bringing people in who they're qualified, that have been screened, that we know are going to do the job. So talk a little about the process, about how, they're getting pre-screened, pre-trained, ready to go people.
Right.
Talk a little bit about that.
Yeah, that is the great thing about it as well, is that we have a really solid system. We have case managers in-house that are doing initial assessments with clients. They're looking at their background. They're looking at their resume. They're helping them identify any gaps in their education. And then we're walking them through this training. But, to your point about turnover, we're really concerned about retention. And so we are doing things like providing people with gas cards and transportation assistance.
Really?
Absolutely, we do. We help provide them with boots and equipment before they go. We want to make sure that we ensure that they get that job, that they're qualified, and that they can keep that job. Because quite frankly, a lot of the people that come in the door, they have some limited background. They need more support. And we are doing that alongside them as well.
Karen, that's amazing. To that level, you're giving them gas cards, buying them boots, helping them get transportation. You and I talked about this over coffee, is that, we don't have the greatest transportation system in this city. Yes. And specifically, if you're servicing Johnson County, or you're servicing Wyandotte, or even further out, if there's a job, in a manufacturing facility. I'm trying to think. There's a big boat manufacturer, and I can't think of the name of the small town in Kansas that makes Crown boats, but it's out there. Well, it'd be a great place to get a job, and I'm sure that the pay is really good along with the benefits, but you got to get there, right?
Yeah.
Okay, so you're pulling all that together, so it's kind of like the whole package.
Yes, it is. I mean, we try to do as much as we can with the wraparound supports that we have, to get them the job and help them keep it. And, we will continue to work with them and the employer after they have the job for as long as they need us, and as long as we can help provide that they can come back at any time too. Maybe they, have the job and they're like, I'm good. I don't need, Goodwill's help anymore. And then something happens, they can always come back. We're always there through, cradle to grave, the very beginning to the very end of anything that they need along this journey.
That's interesting because, I've worked with a lot of charities. I was on the board of directors for Sheffield Place, where, we brought in homeless women and their children in the facilities. And the key to success there was that after they finished the program, we got them sober, we got them jobs, we put their kids in school. We had a support system. Right. And what you just described is that support system. That's right. Okay, so they're having a problem. They can come back to you and say, I'm having a problem. Maybe this isn't working, or I've got a problem. A lot of folks that are coming into these kinds, they don't know how to deal with this kind of stuff because they haven't dealt with it, okay? Right. So now, you've got a counselor, somebody that can say to them, if you've got a conflict on the job, here's what you need to do to get it solved, right?
That's right. That's exactly right. And so many of the people, to your point, they just don't have a support system. They haven't had a social network. They haven't had a mentor. They haven't had had coaching, and they don't have somebody that's saying, hey, I'll take you to work, or hey, let me help you. So we're there. We're that hand up.
Yeah, it is a hand up, and that really is quite remarkable. If you want to learn more about it, maybe you're a small employer of some kind and you need help, mocangoodwill.org, mocangoodwill.org. If you're somebody looking for an opportunity, it's free. Okay, they'll train you. We're going to talk in this next segment about some of these opportunities. They're really quite remarkable. If you want to call them, 816-842-7425, 816-842-7425. We'll be right back after the break. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate, broadcasting here on the HIA Radio Network, coast to coast across the USA. Stay tuned. We've got more. Welcome back. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the fruited plain here on the HIA Radio Network. You can find out more about us by going to our website, americashealthcareadvocate.com. My producers, Darren Wilhite and David Thiessen, in studio with me, producing this show today for all of you out there on the podcast YouTube platforms, and, of course, all 201 of our radio stations across the country. And, by the way, we're going to broadcast this nationally. So if you're looking for a Goodwill in your town, I'm sure these same opportunities exist. We'll talk about that in this segment a little bit. But, they've got a great program. They're a national group, and they do wonderful work. And I think you're learning some of that. If you want to go to the website and learn more, mocangoodwill.org, mocangoodwill.org. The phone number, 816-842-7425, 816-842-7425. You heard Anita say 41 counties in Missouri and 41 counties in Kansas. I don't care if you're listening to me in Salina on our Salina station, or you're listening to me in Wichita or Topeka, wherever you are, or you're listening to me in Maryville, okay, or Clinton, Missouri. They can help you, and they're happy to help you. That's what they do. So if you're a manufacturer, if you're sitting, and we're going to talk about some of these other opportunities. If you're an employer, you're going to hear some more of this in a lot of different fields. They can help you. They'll find people, they'll train them, they'll screen them, they do the whole 9 yards. Okay, all you have to do is provide the opportunity. And if you're that person looking for a way out of a dead-end job, or maybe you don't have a job, this is a tremendous opportunity. Go to the phones and call them, 816-842-7425. All right, so this one fascinated me as I was up at 5:30 this morning doing show prep for this. So talk to me about the bridge to technology. I got I'm like, okay, manufacturing, I get that. I mean, I can see how that would work, etc. This one kind of floored me a little bit. And then I started looking at some of the people you're dealing with here, IBM, Google. All right, so talk about this bridge to technology, because there are a huge number of jobs in this space, and there are not qualified people for these jobs right now. There is a demand that's not being supplied.
Oh,
Anita?
You're absolutely right. There is a tremendous and growing demand for people that have good quality technology skills, great digital literacy, and know how to operate a computer and know how to function around, Microsoft applications or other types of internet applications and platforms. And what we were finding is that there was a huge segment of our population that didn't even have computers at home. They didn't have high-speed internet at home because they can't afford it. And so, of course, they lack some of the digital literacy and digital skills. And so we started to build programs and services to increase that access for people so that they could get internet at home, they could get a laptop, and then they could get skills to compete for some of these high-demand careers in technology. And so we know that employers are looking for people, and we're trying to help to fill that gap. There's all of this new technology like AI and machine learning and coding and all this great stuff, but people just don't know about it. So we learned about it, and we created a program called Bridge to Technology that is just that. It's just meet people where they are. So no matter how much you know or how little you know, you can come into that. You don't have to feel afraid. And we're creating new talent for our employers across the region.
So Karen, Anita said something very interesting, and I think this is a problem for a lot of people. They hear that and they go, I couldn't do that. So they're afraid. Mm-hmm. It looks to them to be a daunting task they can't do. But when I look at the way you do this, talk about how you put the basic programs available. Talk a little bit about some of that and how you start them off so they can learn how to do this.
So like Anita said, we meet them where they're at. If they have interest, but it's technology and it's scary and I don't think I can do this, this is kind of just dipping your toe in that lake and getting a taste of a lot of different technologies and seeing it's not so hard, it's not so scary. Wow, I have a whole skill set that I didn't even know I had. I can do some of this and I enjoy it and I like it. And the hope is that once they get a taste for that, that they want to go on and continue in some of the other certifications that we have through the partners that you see, getting a badge with IBM or a Grow with Google certification in project management or data analytics. But they first have to take that step into that realm, which is the bridge to technology. And if their skill set isn't right where maybe it needs to be, we enroll them in our digital skills classes and help them get to where they need to be so that they can be successful when they go into the bridge to technology course and then continue on after that.
So, Anita, do they have to show up in a classroom to do these? How does that work?
Yes. So Bridge to Technology is cohort-based.
Okay.
Because for most of the people, they have a lot of other barriers. They do need motivation. It's just that collaboration with other people that are like them that helps to inspire and motivate them to complete. And so in that format, that one has to be requiring some in-person time.
Okay.
But we do offer a ton of other. IBM Skills Build has all of these badges and courses that can be completed completely online. We have a Grow with Google suite of certifications that are available at no cost that can be completed. They're a little bit longer. They take most people, if you're really progressing through it, about 5 to 6 months. But then you come out with like a project management certification or a Python certification or an information technology certification. And so those can be completed completely independently. And an employer could even say, hey, I have someone on staff. I think they need a little bit of skill and development. Maybe they would be good to take one of these courses while they're continuing their job. They could take one of the Grow with Google certifications.
So that you kind of beat me to the punch there. So I'm working. I've got a job, but I don't like it. Okay, and I'm doing manual labor, whatever it is I'm doing. And I'm not. I know I can do more. I just don't know how to do it. I know how to get on the computer and do email and search and that, but I don't know all this other stuff. In that program where it's online, they could come home at night and sit on their computer and take those courses.
Absolutely.
Yes.
So and they don't have to. So there's a variety of ways for people to move up.
Yes.
If they choose to do that.
Yes.
Yeah. And these jobs, so I'm going to go back to something you said off air before we started this segment, is on the manufacturing side. I want you to listen to this, people. The average pay that these folks are getting that's starting on these jobs is between $18 and $19 an hour. This isn't flipping hamburgers at McDonald's, okay? $18 to $19 an hour. They have, you're going to have benefits. You're going to talk about health insurance. They've got these companies have a whole aura of these things. Smithfield Foods. Think about that, okay? These companies provide benefits. You've got an opportunity to get a job that's going to pay between $18 and $19 an hour. And I'm going to guess that the technology jobs have got to be somewhere around there or better. Yes?
That is exactly the point of what we're doing. We don't want to put people into low-wage, low-paying jobs. We all know there's inflation, the price of groceries, gas, everything. And so we want to make sure we're getting people into entry-level job pathways that pay a living wage, that pay a sustainable wage for their families. And so right now we're shooting for anything that's above $15 an hour, but we still feel like 18 or more is really, really what we think is a family sustainable wage.
It's really good to hear that quantified like that. Okay, so I'm a single mom here, let's say, and I'm in a dead end job. Maybe I'm working in a hospital doing some menial work of some kind, or I'm working in a hotel, cleaning hotel rooms or whatever it is I'm doing. And there's no future in this. I'm just getting a paycheck and trying to stay alive and take care of my 2 kids.
That's right.
Okay, how can they make that jump from that to any one of these programs?
Yes.
How do they do that? How do they make that jump and be able to keep providing for their kids and pay their rent and do what they need to do? How does all that come together?
You know, that's one of the keys, I think, to the success of our program. And it's something that we look at constantly because these are adults that we're targeting. They're working. They have all kind of other obligations. They have children to feed and get from school and bills, and they're worried. And so we really customize so that if you want to come in the day and you're working in evening, we have day classes for B2T. We have evening classes for B2T so that if you're working during the day and you have your family commitments, we've designed some courses available after those hours. Our team is really, again, meeting people where they are. There's courses that they can take and do just online. All you have to do is really come in the door, start to talk to one of our workforce specialists, which is kind of a career coach, if you will, that will sit down. They'll ask people what their goals are. They help them create an individual employment plan that meets their needs, and we really want to walk with them through that process.
That's remarkable. I mean, it really is. The key takeaway right there was meeting people where they are. It doesn't matter where you are in terms of your skill set or your ability. Maybe you don't have any of this, but you have a desire. If you have that desire and you're looking to make a change, they're looking for people to do this with. Okay, they're looking for people to partner with and listen to the program. It's very comprehensive. It's a tremendous opportunity. By the way, if you're the employer, you should be listening to this as well because they're giving you qualified people that understand how to do whatever it is you're looking for in terms of employees. The website, mocangoodwill.org, mocangoodwill.org. Phone number, 816-842-7425, 816-842-7425. We'll be right back after the break. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate, broadcasting here on the HI Radio Network, coast to coast across the USA. Stay right there. Welcome back. You're listening to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA. In studio with me, Karen Altenhofen and Anita Davis from the Goodwill Industries. We're talking about all the things they do for employers and for individuals out there looking for an opportunity for better employment or just employment. You know, here's one you might want to think about. You got that high school kid living in the basement, okay, that doesn't want to go to college and doesn't know what he wants to do. Why don't you hook him up with the folks at Goodwill? Let him get an employment counselor that'll actually show him a path forward. Maybe the kid's good at computers. He sits down there and plays video games all day. What about that? Okay. Or maybe he's good working on cars. This is the kind of thing where you could make a difference with that. So whether you're the person in a dead-end job or you do have that kid living in the basement, 816-842-7425. 816-842-7425 or mocangoodwill.org, mocangoodwill.org. You know, quick story. I had a friend of mine in Texas the other day tell me that he had gotten a young man into a plumber's apprentice program. He started out at $19 an hour as a plumber's apprentice. So there are some great paying jobs out there, but you have to know how to get to them. That's what these folks do. And you've got a tremendous opportunity here. If you're an employer, the opportunity is to get skilled people pre-screened and in your company doing these jobs right out of the gate, and they put it all together for you. Once again, mocangoodwill.org. That's MOKAN, goodwill.org. All right, so let's go talk about the hands-on part a little bit, Karen.
Yeah, so I was saying, while, you know, virtual appeals to everybody nowadays, it's really key for these cohorts that we have to have them in person because you get the hands-on experience. It's not just, you know, doing the modules online, which you get, but you actually get to, you know, use the calipers to learn how to measure in the certified manufacturing course. You get to look at the blueprints because blueprint reading is one of the things that they will learn. And then in our Bridge to Technology, we have an AI lab that has robots in there that they'll get to program and see hands-on. There's a 3D printer. They can make things with the 3D printer. They'll learn how to code. There's so many things that, you know, you can't do adequately unless you're in the lab doing the hands-on. And it's amazing because sometimes you just see people's eyes light up when they coded something or make the robot move or talk. It's amazing, and you can't replicate that if you're not in the classroom.
That's really it's kind of like the light goes on. Mm-hmm. Oh my God, I can do this.
Right.
Okay. Yeah, that's really what that says. That's really kind of interesting. So let's talk a little bit about the bus, okay? The mobile workforce and who this is available to. So let's chat about that a little bit.
It's available to anyone who wants to request it. It is equipped with 10 computers, and we also have a printer in there. So we can partner with employers for job fairs. So a lot of times, you're at a job fair and there's no paper anymore. It's go online and apply for this job. Now, what if you can't go
I was
online?
just going to say, what happens when they don't know how to do that?
Exactly.
Maybe they could do that job, but they don't know. They're not computer literate. They don't know how to do that.
Right, or they don't have internet at home or a computer, but they don't want to tell the employer that. They just, kind of maybe walk off and don't apply, and they're losing a good candidate. But if the employers partner with us at job fairs, they can hop right on the mobile workforce unit and apply for the job right then and there. And if they have trouble applying, we have staff in there that will help them.
Okay, what about agencies? I've mentioned some, I know you work with Benilde Hall, which is a charity here in Kansas City that I was on the board of directors for years and years ago, that takes care of homeless veterans and homeless men. And I know you work there. You're out there like one day a week. What if you're involved with a charity like that where you've got people, but you don't have access to these kinds of jobs? Can you bring this bus out to their facility and have their people spend a day going through, here are the jobs you can apply for, here's how you do it?
Yes, absolutely. So we have one of two ways that we can do this. We have digital inclusion instructors that, some places will have computer labs, but no instructor to help teach people and get them online. So if you've got the computers and you just need the instructor, we'll come to you and do that. We do that for City Union Mission.
Okay.
And if you don't, like some places, like Veterans Community Project maybe only has one computer in a little room, so only one person at a time. Well, we have 10 computers, so we can serve a few more. We'll roll up with the mobile workforce unit, and people can jump on there, use it to check emails, apply for jobs. And the other thing that's great is there's a presentation screen back there, so we can do the digital literacy classes right on board. If you don't have a computer lab where we can come in and teach, we can teach it right there, and people can just follow along, and the digital inclusion instructor will be right there with them on the mobile workforce unit and learning right then and there.
Pretty amazing. I hope we're going to get to a lot more of this, folks, because there's a lot they're bringing to the table, and a tremendous amount of opportunities. We wrap this up, Anita. Kind of just wrap up what you want folks to understand on the employer side, and let's just focus on that for a moment.
Right. From an employer perspective, we want them to know that there's a partner out here that's working with them because, in the manufacturing example, a lot of these manufacturers are really small. They may not even have an HR team or a recruiter that's able to go out there and help to source talent. And so we help to fill that gap. We really want to be a partner and help employers solve these problems. And we don't want to just be there for one time. We want to help them find a good, loyal employee, help train them up. And if they find that after a year they're growing or they have some more training needs, we want to be there and help them continue to upskill that employee as well. And so we just want employers to know that they have a partner out here in Goodwill, and they may not have known that that's part of what we do, but that we're here to help them.
Like I said in the opening, it's a lot more than the thrift store. I think it's remarkable what you do, and I think it's important for employers to understand that, and especially you mentioned small employers. When I had, Benefits by Design was my agency, 90% of our clients were small employers. I mentioned one off air, Superior Aluminum Castings. They had about 20 people, and it was a husband and wife that ran it. There was no HR director. The two of them ran that thing, and they worked 6 days a week in there. They didn't have time for that kind of thing, and one of the most difficult things they had to deal with was turnover and training. And what you're saying is you're looking for partners. That's what you're really looking for.
Yes.
People that want a relationship, that own a business, that want a relationship, that need qualified people, and you'll put them where they need to be. The website, if you want to learn more, mocangoodwill.org, MOKAN Goodwill.org, 816-842-7425, 816-842-7425. You're hearing this today. Maybe you're a partner in a company, or maybe you work in a company, or maybe you are an HR director and you're looking for good people. Go to that podcast platform. You don't have to regurgitate everything you heard here. Go to the podcast platform. Listen to the podcast. Give it to your boss. Go to the YouTube, download it, and let them listen to it on the YouTube so they understand all the things that these folks do, because they do a remarkable job, and it's a remarkable opportunity. And if you're a person looking for a leg up, that's what they're going to do. Again, the website again is mocangoodwill.org. The phone number 816-842-7425. And now I leave you with this thought from Dr. Martin Luther King. Americans must learn to live together as brothers and sisters, or we will surely perish together as fools. Truer words were never spoken. Thank you for listening to America's Healthcare Advocate Show, broadcasting coast to coast across the USA. Goodbye, America.